Hello, everyone. Jason Hagglum here, and today I am joined by the Greek warrior, Tom Theocharis, who will be returning to the MMA cage this Friday out in Alaska to take on Jesse Hull for their middleweight championship out there in Alaska. Tom, how are you doing?
Doing well. It's fight week. I'm fucking pumped. I'm fucking pumped.
Yeah, it's been a while since you've fought, Tom. I mean, you fought out in the southern part of the United States back in February of last year and had some,
Yeah,
events fall through, some fights
yeah.
fall through, an event fall through. As you said, you're pumped. Like, how did this fight come together and getting to go out to Alaska?
Well, first of all, I fought once in the last 2 years, so like I have not been very active at all, and so I'm very excited and I'm very thankful to be competing because it doesn't happen very often, and it's given me kind of you know, a new perspective on, the competing aspect of MMA because I do train every single day and, I'm a part of the sport, every single day. However, I don't get to compete very often. And I'm very excited about that. However, this fight came through I actually messaged this promotion a few months ago. They asked me to compete on their March card, and I said, I wasn't available for that time slot, and they came back to me and said, "Do you want to compete in April against Jesse Hull for the 185-pound title?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." So
And here we are. I mean, getting to head out to Alaska, probably your first time out there, right?
yeah, this is my first. Everyone that asked me, "Hey, like when you're fighting?" "Oh, I'm fighting this date." "Oh, where?" "In Alaska." Everyone gives me like the weirdest look, or like they're like, "Whoa, that's crazy," which it is pretty wild. And it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's going to be an incredible experience, and this is a whole reason why I'm in the sport, is to go on trips like these, get these wins, and have these wild experiences. Like it would be nice to compete at home, but I'm really thankful that I get to travel around, to different places, see new things, meet new people, and kind of go from there. So
Well, the market out there in Alaska, they have produced some fighters, making the big steps to the bigger promotions that you see, on Contender Series out to the UFC. So it is a kind of a semi hotbed for MMA, as wild as it is to a lot of
yeah,
people.
there's actually a former UFC fighter competing for the 135-pound title on this card. I forget what his name is, but I mean, there's some good guys out there, and I'm excited.
Yeah, as you are, and you're talking about getting this opportunity and not being active. Is that goal this year, Tom, to be as active as possible, get like 2 or 3 fights this year?
Well, first and foremost, I am just focusing on this
Yeah.
fight, and that's like the number one thing. As far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as April 16th. It's only April 15th and this fight. However, as far as activity goes, or being active, I would like to be much more active this year. However, it's been nonstop as far as training camps, and the passing of my girlfriend, and all this sort of stuff, where I've been in training camp since October, and I do think if I do get this win, I would like a little break. And so I think I deserve a little break after this fight. But with that being said, I'd like 2 or 3 more fights this year.
Well, as you did touch on the passing of your girlfriend, obviously, once my condolences for you on that. That's
I
a
appreciate
horrible,
that.
a
Thank you.
horrible thing to obviously go through. But
Yeah.
how do you turn the negative and the sorrow of that situation, Tom, to staying focused, getting motivated to fight? And is that one of those blessings where you were happy you competed in MMA, and the family life of your gym out there with adrenaline?
Yeah, so basically, if I didn't have MMA as an outlet, I don't know where I would be as far as the healing process. I'm very fortunate that I do have MMA to fall back on, and dedicate 24 hours of my day, 7 days a week, to MMA and getting better, and staying disciplined and staying focused, and you know all these different amazing things that make me a better human being. It comes from MMA, and I was able to, it's a very unfortunate situation that my girlfriend passed away. But MMA has taught me how to handle adversity and handle these tough situations. And so, there's one route where I could have went and, used it as used her passing as an excuse to kind of, fall off the beaten path and not be, just kind of basically, yeah, fall off the beaten path, just kind of be a train wreck, like basically. But I didn't use that as an excuse. I used her passing as motivation. And, I was thinking prior to this fight, is this fight, for her? But no, it's for me. It's for, it's to prove to myself that I could, put whatever I put my mind to, I can do. And I could, battle through adversity. And, it just goes to show you the character that I have, by winning this fight and taking this fight. So.
And obviously, getting the fight, getting the win, which we'll get into in a second here. But what do you think? You come through April on Friday, April 15th here, win that middleweight title. Like, the first thing's got to be thoughts about your girlfriend. And what do you think she would say? What do you think she would say if she was able to be there and see, you accomplish that goal?
She would be the happiest girl ever. She'd be extremely proud of me. And I know that she really wants me to go out there and win this fight. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And with that being said, I can't be too emotional going into the cage because, if you see guys being too emotional and it takes over and, they kind of lose the fight because, their emotions take over. But as Krulin says, one of my coaches, kickboxing coaches, you got to be emotionless. Like if you get hit, you can't get all upset and frustrated and that sort of stuff. So she will be very proud of me. However, I can't really think about, having too many emotions going into the fight.
How have you been able to control your emotions, or are there exercises you're doing to work on that, or just focusing on the end goal of winning the fight on Friday?
What's kind of helped me get through it is the fact that, this will be my 15th MMA fight, and that's a decent amount of experience. Before I was kind of insecure that I didn't have as much experience as my other opponents and this sort of stuff. But, I've been training since 2009, competing, since 2014, training with the best guys in the area for years now, over 10 years. And that's all giving me the confidence, to be honest with you. And, I've been down this road several times, and, some days I didn't want to get up for training camp because, I was so depressed with, the passing of my girlfriend, but I was able to get through it at the end of the day. And at this point, I'm just really happy that I don't have to go through, another week of training camp, or, I'm finally here at fight week. I'm almost there. It's almost like a relief that I'm finally here. It's Monday. I'm fighting Friday. I'm flying to Alaska tomorrow, and I get to compete finally. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, as you said, it's been a while, and now let's look ahead to this fight here against Jesse Hull for the middleweight championship out there in Alaska. What do you know about your opponent, Jesse? Just looking at his record, he hasn't had that many fights. His last fight, he weighed in 225 pounds. So yeah. He's definitely a bigger guy making a tough cut down.
Honestly, I don't know much about him. I think he's more jiu-jitsu guy. It looks like he's a powerful dude. But I think some things that I did wrong in the past is I kind of obsessed a bit too much about my opponents leading into the fight, and kind of psyched me out, and more so to the point where I'd watch so much footage of them, and then I'd get in the cage and they wouldn't be doing that exact same thing that I thought they'd be doing and anticipating. And so honestly, I looked at his record. I've known him, for quite some time because I've kind of scouted out that Alaska region. And I think this is just a great matchup. I'm assuming he's going to look to take me down just because that's what everyone does. He seems like he's a grappler, but I train like I'm fighting, GSP or, and like the toughest guy on the planet. Like, I don't care, how good he is or, how good he's not. Like, I trained as hard as I possibly could, as smart as I could, and I'm ready for anything.
And with this fight as well, like if you win the belt, would you be willing to head out back to Alaska to defend it a couple times?
I would definitely be willing to head back out there to defend it. I'd like to fight close to home soon. Like, I'd love to fight in Ontario again, or sorry, not again, like for the first time. I'm always the away guy. And you know what? It's finally catching up to me. Like, before I got into MMA, I was like, oh, it'd be so cool would be to travel and like fight and, have like all my friends and family watch it on like TV or like a stream. And I've done it so many times now that I'm like, I'm really excited to go on this trip. Like, don't get me wrong, like I'm super pumped to go to Alaska, but I'm dreading the flight and the travel time itself. Like, the travel time is going to be roughly 12 hours, which isn't fun. However, like, this is going to be an amazing experience. And so we'll see what happens.
Well, with the way the Canadian MMA landscape is starting to open up throughout the country, not just Ontario, but there's, BC out east. Like, is that kind of maybe the next place you're looking to fight? At least home. Obviously, you said home, which would be closer to London, but I know the Ontario scene is starting to pick up again.
I would love to. I'd love to fight in London, and London, anywhere in Ontario would be awesome. What happened was, in December when I was supposed to fight in Niagara Falls, I was super excited because I was planning on, sleeping in my bed and, after, the day before the fight. And then after the weigh-ins, I was going to go eat with some friends and, kind of like hang out a little bit. And, I'd be comfortable in my situation. And, during fight week, I'd have my kitchen and, I'd be around, my teammates and, have like the gyms to my to on hand and that sort of stuff. But that kind of got me excited to compete at home, so I think I want to take a look at that next time. So
well, we're still early in 2022, Tom. So definitely a bucket list thing we can hit off for sure. Yeah. Maybe this year, but for sure going into 2023, that's something that we can get off the bucket list for you. And with this fight, Tom, as we kind of touched on, you trained it, you mostly at Adrenaline, but I've seen you spending some time with TJ Laramie, Tony Laramie. Are those some of the guys you've been working with to get ready for this fight?
So I actually live in Toronto now, in Etobicoke. I'm originally from London, Stratford area. I went back a few times to London for this training camp just because I liked being home. Train with like all the guys there. I train with a lot. Peter Montrade, who's my head coach, he's got a gym here in Toronto. I kind of stumbled upon him in the summertime last year when I was supposed to compete in South Africa. I basically just like was Googling people because, Niagara Top Team, I trained there a decent amount. However, it's like an hour away, which, it's not the issue that it's an hour away. It's the fact that I go there, train for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then have to drive back. And like, that feels like I've trained for 4 days. Like I did like a 4-day, training session for 4, you know what I'm trying to say. It's just fucking tiring. And like, it just really like, it just zaps my energy to the point where I'm like, okay, like I can't do 2-a-days if I'm going to Niagara Top Team. Like I need it. Like I'm zapped out after that one training session. So I'll go there, but once or twice a week. I train at Extreme Couture a lot. It's just down the street. I bring in guys there. And who else? Yeah, TJ and Tony Laramie did come for this training camp. However, they're both really small guys. I don't really train with them. Like they'll just come and stay with me for a few days and that sort of stuff. Aaron Jeffrey train with a lot, and that sort of stuff. So I got a good crew of guys. So
yeah, that's a quality list of what's going on in the scene here in Canada. Yeah. And obviously Aaron's got some big things now, signing with Bellator and former CFFC champion. So that's a good guy to get ready with. And when you look at yourself, Tom, since you haven't fought since like February of last year, where would you say you've grown the most as a fighter?
I would say I've grown exponentially in, all aspects of the sport. I think maturity has been the number one factor that has led to, the skills of being, my skills getting better inside the cage, because in order to get better, a lot of people have to mature and take a look in the mirror and, take accountability and say, oh, this is exactly what I need to do. I need to, do more grappling. I need to, take it more seriously in between fights. Like that was another big thing. Sacrifice more, like sacrifice, hanging out with friends and, going out and doing fun things. Like I literally just live, eat, sleep, breathe MMA. And I think that's basically what has led me to, growing in the sport. And so that's basically it.
When did that maturity, would you say, hit you, Tom? Because obviously, it takes some guys a while to do that and realize that if what they really want in the end goal, they have to make those sacrifices.
I would say it began in, I would say it really sunk in when my girlfriend passed away, because she passed away in August of 2021. And so basically I kind of just said, all right, well, what makes me happy? Like I was so depressed. I was in bed for 2.5 months because like I just couldn't like move. Like I was back home with my parents in Stratford, and what happened was I booked a fight for December, and in October I kind of just like needed a change of scenery, because in Stratford there wasn't much to do, and like I'd get up and like there's really not much to do in a small town like that for myself. So I moved back here in October, and for 2 weeks I was like, oh man, like I don't even know if I could do this anymore. Like I'm so depressed. I couldn't even like eat, or sorry, I couldn't eat. Like I was eating one meal a day. I couldn't make myself food. I couldn't clean. Like I was just like for 2 weeks back in Toronto, I'm like, oh, like, can I do this? And like I texted Aaron Jeffrey, I'm like, man, I'm so fucking depressed right now. And he just said, man, you just got to come to practice. And so that was on a Thursday, I believe. And so I showed up to practice. I drove to Niagara Falls, and I puked maybe 3 times during that training session. I go, okay, this is what makes me feel better. I felt like it was insane how my mood shifted. Like I just went from not even being able to like get out of bed and like, cook food for myself and like eat and like, clean. And then, I drove myself to Niagara Falls and did this crazy training session, and I just felt like so much better. And then from then on, I kind of just was like, okay, well, this is what makes me feel better. I want to kind of work towards something in life. And that's kind of what, somewhat takes my mind off things is, and that's what makes me feel better, is just kind of moving forward and having something to achieve in life. And so I would say October, November is when I kind of realized, MMA is a lifestyle. It's not just a 2-week training camp, or sorry, a 2-month training camp. It's a full lifestyle. And so that's when I've just shifted my, mindset of, being that social guy and wanting to hang out with friends to, let's just take this a lot more seriously. So.
Do you ever think where your life would be, Tom, if you hadn't sent Aaron Jeffrey that text about trying to come to practice? Because I mean, I can't even imagine the pain you went through, and you were very open and honest here, describing in bed for pretty much 2 months about that. And sometimes it takes forever to go over a loss like that, and that's going to stick with you forever. But finding the ability to move on, I think that's the important thing. And very open about your mental health as well about that.
Yeah, no, I think to be honest with you, if I didn't have mixed martial arts, I don't even know where I'd be at this point, just because it just instills discipline, and it instills drive, and it instills like a type of lifestyle that I want to live, which is training every single day, eating healthy, getting good sleep at night, and just being prepared and focused, right? Like it just really focuses my drive and my passion and that sort of stuff. And to be honest with you, I was like in Stratford at one point, just thinking like, am I ever going to be like, I just felt handicapped. I actually felt like, there's something that I wasn't able to kind of overcome. This was something that I was never going to be able to overcome. And it's something that I still have to struggle with, of course. Like it's not like all sunshines and roses It's, you know, it's some days I wake up and I just want to cry all day, and you know, that's fine because she passed away in August. And you know, like, I think my whole entire life I'll be thinking about her and just thinking of that situation. And so, I mean, if I didn't have mixed martial arts, I would be a complete wreck right now. So I'm very fortunate.
It's a crazy story, and I'm happy you have an outlet to kind of get, you know, those feelings and you know, focus something, get your mind right. And that's what you'll get to do this Friday, where you get to take on Jesse Hull for the ACE, excuse me, middleweight champion.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jason.
Yeah, no problem. Honestly, it's I think it's very brave of you as well, getting to tell your story. And I think a lot of people can learn from your story that, you know, handle hardship and grief like that.
I appreciate that.
It's a good thing for everyone, right? And I think that's when you do these interviews, sure, you want to know about the fight and certain things, but you get to learn about the people involved in the sport. And I think that's one of the more rewarding things for me here. So best of luck to you, Tom. And before I let you go, I will let you plug yourself out there on social media, or anyone you want to plug before we wind down here.
So my Instagram is @TommyTheo. Thanks to my coach, Peter Montrate. And then I've got my friend Andrew McCardle over here. We're doing, he's doing like a little documentary style footage. He works for a Little Big Creative out in Stratford. He does some incredible, you know, filming and that sort of stuff. So, you know, that's something to look forward to. We did like a little video last week that we came out with on throw it on my Instagram. He does a great job with that. Thank my friends, family, my sponsors, and you know, all my supporters. I really appreciate it.
When can we expect that documentary to be out? Obviously, I know it's being filmed right now and the fight happens on Friday, but when can we expect to see that coming out?
I'm not sure. When can we see that, Cards? Couple months, I'd say. Yeah.
All right, we'll definitely throw that up on social media and stuff, and we'll definitely check that out, because I'm sure that'll be a really cool documentary. But Tom, best of luck. Safe trip out to Alaska, and we'll hopefully get to chat to you soon.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. You have a good day.
All right. Thank you very much, Tom.